long as we have seen Barack Obama, Michelle Obama be something that seemed to be a good thing for the black community, especially becoming the first president, first black family. But now all that seems to be gone. It doesn't seem to be a good thing anymore. I'm sure everybody has seen the video of Barack Obama. It's talking about if you have a gay mentor, it can help you just in case you got a gay boy or a gay young man around you, and then they can understand, give them advice and all that. People is not feeling that. They're not gelling with that. And I understand why. This your boy Big Op. Make sure y'all go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the JBJ Network. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, the reason why this conversation is had, they're on their podcast, Michelle and her brother's podcast, and one of the listeners had a question about raising emotional, intelligent boys. It's okay, they understand about raising independent, strong women, but what about raising emotional, intelligent boys? And for us over in the space, we know that means, that just basically means catering to females' emotion. It does not mean regulating your own emotions. We know it's just a benefit package for them. But let's go ahead and get into what she asked the question, and then I'm gonna do a couple cuts leading up to what Barack said. We're gonna have a real conversation today. All right, make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. Let's get it.
Hi, Michelle and Craig. I have 3 younger brothers and am a new mom to a 1-year-old little boy. What can we do to change the fact that we raise our girls and we love our boys? There is so much dialogue on raising strong, independent women, but how can we raise emotionally intelligent, competent men? I am deeply concerned by the ideology promoted to my younger brothers online. I want to raise a young man who sees through those ideas. How can we energize the discussion around raising young men that want to change these oppressive and even violent dynamics?
So it's not that this woman is necessarily saying something so wrong. It's the fact that she don't know what she's saying is wrong. The whole teaching women to be strong and independent while teaching men to be emotionally intelligent is as if they're saying they're adding something to versus taking away. When we look at what men are going through and what women are going through, the women are okay to be more brash, more independent, more strong, being praised for being like a man, where a man should only get praised if he acts like a woman or if he's part of the LGBT. Let's keep it real, that's what's going on in our community. And the sad part about it is they praise it so much, and the chaos and everything that comes with it as acting like that's going to keep our families intact. They separated, broke up the families, and then now they want to still push for men to be soft while women being stronger. Now, Michelle is going to come in and kind of say something that respectfully I understand, because Barack does, I think he does have those parameters, but we're trying to keep a certain image within what he's done in his presidency and trying to push certain narratives and things of that nature. Michelle is okay for her to say Barack said these things that make sense as a man. But when it comes for them to say certain things, they can't say it. So I'm going to let Michelle go ahead and say exactly what Barack needs to be talking about more as a man, especially as a black man. These are the things that we really need to talk about. But in our community, we're not supposed to. It's just supposed to be about the women. So let Michelle go ahead and articulate what Barack should have said.
I think Scott Galloway, there are other researchers out there who say that one of the challenges that boys face is that there just aren't enough men in their lives. You know, the men have disappeared, whether through divorce or fatherhood. There are small numbers of male teachers in high schools. Boys are growing up in an education system where they're mostly surrounded by women. Right. Barack, you've talked about the fact that the entire education system isn't even designed to recognize boys and what they need. So, what do we say to Emma? Because again, we don't know whether she's parenting alone or whether she has a husband. But I do think that mothers struggle to figure out what do their sons need. And so they wind up operating out of their own fears and their own instincts, which is to love unconditionally. I think mom was like this. She raised me to be tough because I think she knew what it was like to be a woman. In her mind, she knew what she was preparing me for. The insults, the limitations, the whatever you can think of, the sexism, the biases. So she knew you have to have a mouth. You have to be able to speak up for yourself. With you, she wanted you to be nice so that you wouldn't get in trouble or you wouldn't get arrested. But was that who you were? So what do we say to the Emmas of the world?
So as you see, Michelle was able to articulate certain things like the education system is full of women teachers. That's a bad thing when it comes to men, raising men or young boys not really having more male figures around them. Then it comes to also not realizing the things that need to be dealt for as men. It's being and they try to talk about it like stoicism and all of those things in nature like it's a bad thing when it comes to a man, but you got to realize out in the real world, those are the things that can cripple you. Those are the things that can hurt you if you don't have those type of things in place. But she was able to say certain things Barack is not able to say. It's like they just castrate them at the waist. And these are the real things that we talking about. So she was able to say what she needed to say. Now I want to go ahead and get into what Barack said that everybody is having a problem with and really, really break down where the issue comes in, especially when it comes to black men, black boys, and boys in general.
I do think, though, thinking about raising boys in the same way you're thinking about raising daughters, which is how do you make them good, responsible people who know how to function and know how to understand themselves well enough that they can navigate this really complicated world and setting high expectations. So there are a lot of these things that apply to boys and girls. I do think that there are some particular issues with boys that as a society we're not addressing. I do think as a society we have to create more structures for boys and men to have guidance, rituals, frameworks, encouragement, to be able to meet a wide range of role models so that whatever their inclinations, they can see a path to success that isn't just sports or money, making a lot of money. And so that's on all of us together. What I would say to Emma would be in your community, even if you have a wonderful male partner who's in the house, I think it still would be good to find assets in the community, people in the community, friends in your community, places of worship, community organizations, what have you, where there are a bunch of men who can be sort of elders to boys. And so they're not just looking at one particular role model, but many. And one of the things when Michelle and I first started dating and I'd go over to your guys' house, one of the things I loved was just, seeing all your uncles and your cousins. And there were a bunch of different kinds of men. There were men that were kind of soft-spoken, and then there were men that were loud, and there were men who were engineers, and then there were men who were
Police officers,
or they drove a jitney cab.
Yeah.
Right? And that's one of the things that I think a lot of times boys need is not just exposure to one guy.
One dad.
No matter how good the dad
is. He can't be everything.
He can't be everything. And that boy may need somebody to give the boy some perspective on the dad.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
One of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't out of line, who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. You need that to show empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in your friend group so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or what have you, they have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in this.
Yeah.
Right. So that I think is creating that community. I know it's corny, but that's what they need.
So the problem I had with what Rod said, if you really look at it, right now, Emotional intelligence for a man in these type of communication they're talking about is a privilege. Right now, the main focus that we need to really focus on is getting our young boys structured. The structure that we used to have at a point in time about work, education, being serious, having manners, being courteous. Those are things that we need to get back. This emotional intelligence, we ain't got the time right now. We got to save our communities. If we're talking about doing that and being serious, it's being around these boys, giving them outlets. And the sad part about it is talking about more than just a father. But the problem is we need fathers back in the house first and foremost, because the father is the one that needs to expose these young boys to other men so they can give them guidance and understand about these men, who they are, and what role they play in society, life, community. But since we don't have that no more, now we just want to talk about emotional intelligence. And the problem I have, even though Barack and Michelle and her brother try to be thoughtful when they say certain things, I can care less. We're not tackling real issues. They'll say something like, oh, now people got to worry about getting shot in those communities. I wonder why. How often do these two or these three go to those communities and really help and really have sit downs and have talk, besides when it's time for presidential elections? Besides when it's time to talk about bowing down and making a woman a leader? Even though 77% of black men voted for Kamala Harris. These are the things that we really need to talk about. We don't really dive into those things like we need to, and just keeping it gangster. They talk too much about white feminist talking points, and that's not what helping our community, because we are not them and they are not us. We had better things going on in our community, but we lost that when we wanted to focus more on making women like men, making it matriarchal instead of keeping it patriarchal. Men had gotten better about communicating, but now that we communicate, they say we don't, and we tell them what's going on with us, and they don't want to hear unless it's something they agree with. That's what we're going on, and that's what we're going through, and that's the problem that we're having. It's either respect men and how we communicate so we can keep getting better and actually talk about what's going on with us, facing y'all especially, or things will never be fixed. This emotional intelligence is bullshit, and that's why men need more men to talk to. If you're blessed to have a father, talk to your father. Talk to the man around you. But for us talking about having some gay dude around you to understand other gay men, it's not our concern right now. It's not our community's concern. If we talking about getting things together, that's in chaos. That's reality. This your boy Big Eye for JBJ Network. Things is crazy, man. I lost so much respect for this black family. Now they just a couple of white people in blackface. The new Will and Jada. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. I'm out.